highs and the lows. We've been walking this road hand in hand. We've been learning how to love and to grow. 40 years in the making, and we're still here today. Jerry and Rhonda know that God's love paves the way. With a brand new rings or the lines on your face, we're finding grace in the sacred place. We laugh when it's hard and we fight there too, 'cause God's got a plan for me and you. We're keeping it H-O-T, honest, open, transparent, you see. Bridging hearts, baby, where love's supposed to be. From the vows we set to the dreams we chase, we're building forever in God's embrace. So, bridging hearts. From the kitchen table talks to the prayers late at night, we know love's a battle, but we're still holding tight. Got a card game to spark up the flame again. Reignite the fire with your lifelong friend. Love is a gift, oh, straight from above.
Good morning, and welcome to another podcast of Bridging Hearts Marriage on Purpose. And we're your hosts, Jerry and Rhonda Jackson. We'd like to thank you guys for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. But before we get started with this topic we're going to be speaking on today, we'd just like you to hit that share button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, and just share this, because we know there's other couples, there's other people who may benefit from watching this. Amen.
Amen. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there,
Yes,
grandmas, aunts,
yes.
godmoms, bonus moms. Happy Mother's Day. Yeah. So yes, this morning we do have an excellent broadcast for you this morning, praying that it would touch the hearts of many. And the title of our podcast this morning is "Fix Your Approach, Fix Your Marriage," and it's just really just showing us how to possibly show up in our conversations.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And so we're going to be talking about three different dynamics that help shape your marriage regarding the approach of fix your approach, fix your marriage. And these three dynamic topics that we're going to be shaping, that we think that we help shape your marriage, I really going to be awesome that we're going to discuss these, that you can get a good feel of these. My dog is messing with me right now, excuse me. But today we're going to get right into this. And we know this is something that's, this is not going to be your surface level, but this is going to be stuff that shows up in your marriage every day. Your attitude, your communication, and how you understand each other. These are the three dynamics that we're going to get into today.
Yeah, because you know what, if you don't get these three things right, then you're going to continue to have the same arguments just on different days. So, we're here to talk about it. Y'all ready? So, grab pen and paper again. These type of subjects, some of them are worthy of, taking notes and jotting down a couple of things, because it will help you in your communication and how you show up in communicating with your spouse or with, the person that you're interested in, you're dating and you're seriously dating. Then these are some notes to take to just show you how to show up in your conversations. So,
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to get started here. So we're talking about three dynamics that help shape your marriage. And we're in the, like I said, the title of our podcast today is "Fix Your Attitude, Fix Your Marriage."
No,
Fix your
fix your
approach.
approach.
I
Yeah.
apologize. Fix your approach.
Yeah.
You can fix your attitude. But one of the dynamics we're going to talk about is
Dynamic
attitude.
Right.
Okay.
hmm
So before we say anything, before you respond, before you shut down, your attitude is always in the room.
It's already walked in the room, and because
No.
sometimes we go into a room with the mindset of how we're going to show up. But when we talk about these three dynamics, then we want to make sure that we show up. We we don't already have these different mindsets are already concluded on what it's going to look like. So when he said that your attitude already walked into the room, and then some of us don't even realize that we're bringing an attitude that have already decided on how the conversation is going to go, right?
Right. Go ahead.
So and okay, so it's based on your posture. It's based on the way you kind of come in into the conversation with. So meaning, if you come in defensively, then you're going to hear attack. If you come in frustrated, then everything that you hear is going to irritate you, and so nothing going to get resolved. So it's not even about what's said, but it's about the filter that you're using. So to get it, you don't show up already with something in your mind like you're frustrated, you feeling attacked. So you're
Mm.
gonna make sure that you show up in a way where you're showing up in a way where you're coming to listen to understand. And so that's why you don't want to come feeling attacked or feeling frustrated, because then you bringing attitude in there.
Yeah. So definitely do. So I want to ask you a question. What attitude have you been bringing into your
Wow.
marriage
Yeah.
lately? You know, uh, do you walk in trying to understand, or are you trying to prove a point? And this is so crucial to that. So, are you giving your spouse the room to be a human? Because we
Mm.
all make mistakes,
Mhm.
we all do things. Or are you holding them to a standard that you don't even beat yourself?
Right.
And that is so true.
Hmm.
Because sometimes, you're not dealing with a spouse problem, you're dealing with a mindset problem.
Hmm.
So we have to, stop walking into conversations ready to react. Start walking in ready to understand. And
Yeah.
that's a dynamic that a lot of us had to cultivate, because we walk into situations not really looking to understand, but we walking in situations looking to, you know, be right
Yeah.
or prove yourself not wrong, other
Hmm.
than understanding what the other person is talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and so the next dynamic is dynamic communication. Now, we talk a lot about communication, but everybody says it's important, but everybody is doing it in a way that actually, but are you building it in a way that actually build anything? So we talk about communication, but we got to talk about the way that we're communicating. We're talking a lot, but nothing is getting better. Why? Because we're communicating wrong. It's not just what you say, but it's how you say it. It's when you say it and why you're saying it.
Ooh, that is so
Yeah.
that is so true, because we tend to, we could be in conversations and we can talk, but the issue is not so much of the what
What
we
you say.
saying, is how we communicating that to
Hmm.
our spouse.
Yeah.
We can come off real wrong and real raw
Yeah.
talking about things, when we can come to them in a peaceful manner,
Yeah.
opposed to coming in trying to prove a point, yelling and screaming,
Yeah.
and being disrespectful. So
Right.
we even though we may be right, but it's how we come into that
Hmm.
conversation, how we start that
Yeah.
conversation. Are we on the offensive side, the defensive side? We're not really caring what the other spouse has to say.
Right.
So these are some things that we need to cultivate and understand how we're coming into a conversation.
Yeah. And then when you say it, it's just as important as how you say it. You know, there's just certain conversations that you don't talk about at certain times. You got to make sure it's the right time to have those conversations. And later on, we're going to talk about even, on how to have that approach. Okay, so it's not what you say, it's how you say it and when you say it.
Mhm.
Because you can be right in what you're saying and completely wrong in how you deliver it.
That is so
Right.
true.
So we're going to challenge you on today. Okay. Now, do you bring things up at the wrong time?
Mhm.
Then get frustrated when it turns into an argument? We tend to do that.
We do that
Yeah.
sometimes. We actually do
Hmm.
because it's, we can have a conversation and it's really not the time to really have that conversation. So we get frustrated with that, opposed to just kind of taking a step back
Yeah.
and analyzing it and then go forward with that.
Yeah.
But it can become frustrating because we're really talking about something else and then something else gets said.
Yeah. Because and it's the wrong time, because sometimes you can even feel the temperature of the room and knowing when something is kind of like off and it's not a time to bring up a conversation, because their tone kind of changed. Sometimes my husband, even, he's a really meek, mellow type guy, but then when his tone go up a little, I back up like, okay, this is not really the time to have that conversation. So sometimes you just got to feel the temperature in the room to make sure it's the right time to, have this conversation. And especially uh, a hard conversation.
Right. So it really is your tone helping the conversation or is it escalating the
Yeah.
conversation?
Hmm.
And like my wife said, the tone, depending on the tone,
Hmm.
you can escalate a conversation to something that doesn't need to be
Right.
that deep
Hmm.
simply because of your tone.
Hmm.
And a lot of times and I can be truthful with that. A lot of times I had to calm myself down because I escalated talking
Mhm.
in a louder voice,
Yeah.
and it kind of came, whoa, like what's really going on here?
Hmm.
And I had to try to, okay, no, this is not
Pull back.
pull back. We're trying to have a conversation.
Hmm.
Me getting loud is not going to help the situation. So we need to bring this down
Yeah.
and have a peaceful conversation where we can both relate to one another and be like saying truthfully. And I don't have an issue with that. I had to learn how to do that. And I think that's a dynamic that we need to really work on
Hmm.
because that hurts a lot, a lot of marriages, with marriages because of the tone
Yeah.
in which they set.
Yeah.
Is it helping the conversation or is it escalating the conversation?
And so when you're speaking, are you trying to understand or are you trying to win? And so you got to come in with that mindset. Do I want to understand what they're talking about and trying to come together and reach an agreement, or do I just need to win this argument? Because sometimes people just they have a need to be right, and you can't have that in a marriage or in a conversation, because you don't need to be right. You need to win. I mean, you don't need to win. You don't need to be
You
right.
heard that? You heard that?
You don't need to win. You don't need to be right, but you need to reach an understanding to where the two of you can come together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's be honest about this. How often does these words come out?
Yeah.
They come out very often. You're always.
Yeah.
You never. And here we go again.
Hmm.
And that's not a conversation. That's an attack.
Yeah.
Because you're saying you always do this. You always do that. Here we go again. We doing this again. Those are attacks.
Mhm.
Those are not conversation you start off with
Hmm.
when you're trying to settle something or come to an understanding of something. You're not stressing what that person always does,
Hmm.
because now you really just focus on one person, not really the conversation and not really the problem. Because is really how you feel about that.
Right.
So you can't always go into the conversation and say, well, here we go again. You always do that. You always do that.
Yeah. Because
You-
that's when the wall's going to come up. You
get
know, because it's
defensive.
attack. Yeah. You go into that defensive mode. But real communication is going to sound something like this. Can you help me understand, what you're saying?
Mhm.
Or this is how you make me feel. Okay. Don't that sound a little softer? And so a more communication is I don't want to argue. I want to get this right. So you see how this sound more softer than here we go again. Oh my God, there you already said that, but you got to come a little bit more softer. The Bible says that a soft answer turns away wrath. So we got to be able to come into communicating. When we communicate with one another, we got to come into it more on the softer end so that we can come into agreement. Okay. And so another part of the correct communication is, okay, so what I'm hearing is, and then you repeat what you understood. Because, we're going to talk about that a little later. Men and women are totally different. And so you want to just ask them you want to repeat what something they just said, then you're going to repeat it the way you understood it. And then if they don't understand it, but then that's communication and that builds something. So you want to stop communicating to win the moment and start communicating to protect the relationship. Okay.
And that is so good. 'Cause we have to build that. We have to build that moment where we can be able to have a conversation where we both understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because when you don't truly understand what the conversation is, it can go dramatically the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because they may be speaking on one thing, but you may be hearing another.
Yeah.
So when you repeat that, like my wife said, when you repeat, this is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So you can get a greater understanding of what was actually they're saying.
Yeah.
When they can be clear to you, they can say, no, this is what I'm saying. So then now you don't take offense to it because you're thinking they're being harsh and angry with you, but because that's what you were perceiving.
Yeah.
But that's not what they were saying.
Right.
So when you come to them and say, well, this is what I understood, that's your understanding of what they're saying, but it may not be the understanding that they're trying to portray.
You're right. And that's what we're talking about, how men and women are totally different.
Yeah.
And so the third dynamic is dynamic gender. It's because we don't, we don't think the same. Now dynamic gender is something, right? Because there is a lot of tension lives in this because the woman speaks one way and the guy speaks another way. A woman hears one way, the man speaks another way. So we have to learn how to listen and learn from one another. And so we got to stop competing and then actually, listen to one another, and we're listening to understand. So men and women are totally different. That don't make anybody better or worse. It's just different. Right.
Yeah, that is so true. We're just different in how we process, different in how we respond, different in what we need certain moments. And the problem isn't the difference, it's the lack of understanding. And, just an example that one person may want space to process, but the other one may want to talk it out right now. So those are just different dynamics of how of different genders, how they're understanding. Now, without understanding, one feels overwhelmed, the other feels ignored.
Yeah.
Same moment, two different completely experience because one is feeling one way and one is feeling the other way. So let me ask this question. Do you actually understand your spouse, or are you expecting them to respond like you?
Yeah.
And I think that is so, that dynamic alone is just so, it's so enlightening to me because I think we tend to understand or expecting my spouse
We
your
expecting, I'm
to
expecting me out of you.
right. Basically, in
Yeah,
that, and,
yeah.
you're expecting yourself out of them
Yeah.
when we're two totally different people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you got to understand the gender of it, because
Mm.
we both speak differently and we understand differently, and so we have to understand and to have that conversation where we can meet
Yeah.
together
Mhm.
and truly get an understanding, because she may be thinking one way and I'm thinking another way, but we really haven't talked that out, or I really didn't understand her dynamics of how she interpret things.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to really know your spouse and understand how they interpret things.
Yeah. And so that's when the tension shows up too. When you have to learn how to lean in or pull back. So you got to figure, when the tension is, if they're not understanding the way you think or hearing the way you think they should hear, do you tend to lean in or do you pull back and judge like, nope, he still don't get it. Nope, here we go again. Or do you lean in like, help me understand this? But that's when you got to ease the tension and try to connect instead of trying to correct, right? So, because if you don't respect the difference, you're going to always feel like you're on the opposite side.
And that is so true. So you have to respect it.
Yeah.
So you want to stop trying to make your spouse think like you.
Yeah.
And start learning how to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
Because you have to meet your spouse where they are. You can't assume and think they're thinking a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to meet them where they are, because they're not thinking the way you think it.
Yeah. And so now we're going to go back through this now. The first dynamic is your attitude, right? So before you say anything, before you respond, before you shut down, you got to make sure that you're not bringing attitude in the room, right? Because you're coming in to understand, not to win, right? And then the second dynamic is communication. Even though we talk a lot, we're talking at each other instead of with one another. So dynamic communication is that we have the right approach, and that we're coming to make sure that we're on the same team and that we're coming to get an understanding, right? And
Right.
then the third one is dynamic gender. Men think differently than women. I don't know why they don't think like us ladies, but they think
And man,
differently.
I don't know why they don't think like us.
They not like us.
They not like us. But yes,
Yeah.
so that is so true. So, just to go back, we're talking about, the title of this podcast is Fix Your Approach, Fix Your Marriage.
Right.
And we're talking, like my wife said, we're talking about the three dynamics
Mm-hmm.
of that, which is attitude,
Mhm.
communication, and
Gender.
understanding gender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now I'm going to bring this all together, and like your attitude, it sets the tone, and it shapes the outcome of what we're communicating, right? And so then we're talking about the attitude, the communication, on how we come together and communicate. So this is what we want to sit here with the attitude and talk about the communication. Did I just say that? Okay.
Yeah.
And how is my communication? Is it breaking things instead of building them? Are we breaking it apart? Are we, tearing it down? Or are we building it up? And we got to learn how to build one another up instead of break one down. Because when we coming into a conversation and we trying to win, then we always tearing the other one down. But we got to learn how to come together to where we want this marriage to work, right? We want this relationship to work. So we got to make sure that we're coming together to build a bridge, okay? To where we can understand one another, that we both win. It's no, if I win, then, it's over. No, when you win, that means we both lose. So we got to come together to where we're both winning in this.
And that's true, because then we have to be able to think about it before we have a conversation. Am I here to understand?
Mm-hmm.
Am I trying to understand?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that we have to do. Because of that, we have to check our mindset and see, am I coming into this
Mhm.
to understand, or am I coming in this to just
Yeah.
win
Yeah.
or just speak my mind? So
Mhm.
we have to come into a conversation. We have to put into our mind what we're coming to this conversation for. I'm trying to understand my spouse.
Mhm.
You know, so those are some things we have to do.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, we really have to explore these dynamics of our
Yeah.
marriage and of our even just the general conversation that we're going to have between one another in order to grow. Because when you come in with that attitude that I'm going to win, it's all about me, that's going to hurt the
Yeah.
relationship.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you have to come in with the attitude of understanding.
Hmm.
Am I here to understand my spouse? And that should be your number one priority in your mind.
Yeah.
Am I doing this to really understand my spouse, or am I doing this just to be
To-
myself?
Or to change them,
Or
trying
my-
to change them
right.
to think like I'm thinking. Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to check ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, so we wreck ourselves. So we're not just hearing this, but we're checking ourselves, we're adjusting, and then we're going to apply it. Because a bottom line is strong marriages don't just happen by accident, but they're built on intentional decisions every single day. And we just have to be more intentional on how we show up in our communication. We got to be intentional how we show up even in our conversation with one another. And we got to remember that we're building one another up, not tearing each other down.
And that is so true. So, like I said, excuse me, like I said, these three dynamics that we're discussing today is, I mean, we had to come together and really think about this
Yeah.
because we wanted to communicate better. We wanted to build our marriage. We wanted to make it stronger intentionally. So
Mhm.
these are some things that we have to get in place, that we have to really set a strong foundation to strengthen our marriage. You know, we can't go in, like I said, this attitude of, I'm right, you're wrong, or
Yeah.
I'm going to win every conversation that we're going to have.
Yeah.
We can't come in with that attitude, because that's only is going to, tear us apart,
Yeah.
because one is coming in with an attitude of I'm right and you're wrong.
Right.
So we have to come into a conversation attitude where I can understand my spouse, or I don't really know how she perceives or he perceives something.
Mhm.
So let's get an understanding of what she really thinks and what you're intentionally saying,
Mhm.
so they can understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And you know what? It could be frustrating. It could be very frustrating when you're trying to get a point across and it seems like, they're just not getting it. And but we have to understand why they're not getting it. And
Mhm.
then the way that we're bringing it to them, how is our tone, how is our approach. And so we got to make sure that we always take a step back, think about how am I approaching this,
Mhm.
and then make sure your communication is right and you trying to understand. And you don't have to even really don't waste your time trying to prove your point, but you just got to understand and come to them and see what are you hearing. Okay, this is what I said, but what are you hearing?
Right.
And then that way you're better able to understand and come to a conclusion about whatever it is that you're trying to convey.
And that is so powerful.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
another scripture in the Bible, it talks about um, preferring the other over yourself. That's kind of hard, that you're preferring, even though you perceive them to be wrong, even though they don't understand, you perceiving that they don't understand, you still got to prefer that person over yourself. And put yourself in that position. What if he always thought I was wrong? What if he thought I always had the attitude? How would you feel? And so when we prefer the other one over ourselves, and then you holding them to a higher esteem, a higher esteem, to where now, you're looking up to them and you're able to serve them better and be able to understand them better because you're esteeming them higher than yourself.
All right. And it is so awesome. So just remember, your attitude your communication,
Mhm.
and understanding your spouse, it set the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's good.
It brings you, when you bring it all together, it brings you together as one.
Mhm.
So we really have to understand and check our attitudes, because some of us can have some rough attitudes.
Yeah.
But understanding that and having that communication and understanding how that's where we talked about in previous talks and conversations that we had. You have to study your wife. You have to study your spouse. Your because we're constantly, you have to constantly learn one another.
Yeah.
Because there's certain dynamics that happen, certain things that take place. So you have to continue to study. And like the Bible says, study to show yourself approved.
Mhm.
So you got to continue to study your spouse, to
Mhm.
understand them, to have that conversation with
Yeah.
them, to know how they're thinking, because we don't think alike.
Yeah.
So we don't both respond the same way to different things,
Mhm.
or to the same thing. We don't respond the same way. So
Right.
we have to be able to communicate and get an understanding when we are voicing our opinions.
Yeah.
Or our concerns.
Yeah.
Are we speaking it in a way where they can perceive what we're talking about?
Mhm.
Or are they perceiving in their mind what they think it is?
Yeah.
So we have to be able to have that conversation where we'll be on one accord and be on one mission and know what's being said and what the understanding is.
Right. So yeah. So today's topic is fix your approach, fix your marriage. We gotta approach it correctly. Fix your approach, fix your marriage. And the problem is usually not the other person. The problem is usually us or you or me
Or
or
me.
him. So yeah, fix
But,
your approach.
yeah.
We gotta show up right.
And that is so true, because I mean, if you just go out into the world and just have a general conversation, if you walk up to somebody with the wrong attitude, guess what? Anything can happen.
Yeah.
So you have to fix your approach
Hmm.
when you're speaking with someone.
Yeah.
You just can't go up to someone and just go off on them.
Hmm.
That's not what we do.
Hmm.
And that can cause tension. That can cause anything, because we approach the situation the wrong way.
Right. Yeah, and you don't get the desired results when you show up wrong.
That is
So you
true.
want the right results. You want the results that you expect to get. Then you have to show up differently than we've been showing up. If you keep getting the same results, that means we keep showing up the same way. You want different results, change your approach. Right?
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
fix your approach to
Fix
fix
your
your marriage.
marriage.
So
Yeah.
we just, like I said, we're talking about the three dynamics of that, which is, we talked about the attitude, we talked about communication, and then we just talked about how we as
gender.
genders
Yeah.
understand what's being said.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to look into those three dynamics to grow our marriage, to make it stronger, where we can go further in that.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's it, you all. But thank you all so much, and we do pray that this has helped someone. And if you know of anyone that needs this message or need this type of podcast, make sure you share it with them, because I know for a fact that this is something I'm still learning, and it helps us in our way we communicate, not just in marriage, but in any relationship. You have to make sure that you are changing your approach, and I'm still learning how to change my approach into a certain situation. But if you know of anyone that needs this, please feel free to share it. Please continue to like and share and follow us on YouTube. But
Yeah.
but that's it for today. We are Jerry Ronald Jackson. Did we say that at the beginning?
Yes, we did,
I
love.
don't remember.
That's okay. It's
It's early.
early. It's early.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do want to thank you guys for joining us this morning. Like we said, hey, fix your approach,
Fix Your Marriage.
So we want to thank you guys once again for joining us on today's podcast,
Yeah.
Marriage on Purpose, and we pray that you got some great insights
Yes.
from this conversation that we had. I mean, we truly enjoyed it when we went to talk about it, and know that everything we're talking about it, we are taking part in it.
Yeah.
We're just not speaking this just to be speaking this, because we have to make adjustments ourselves based on what we're talking to you as well. Because this is some understanding that we received and how we're growing in our lives, in our marriage, and in our relationships because of these topics that we're talking about.
Yes.
And we're going through the same thing just like everyone else.
Yeah.
So, but we just thank God that He's given us insight concerning some of these that we can share to you all, that you can get a greater understanding on marriage on purpose.
Yes. And so you all, we do want to share with you before we come off. I do want to share with you that we are doing another cruise September 26th through October 1st, that we are doing it again. Last year was a blast, and we want to do it again. And we're cruising to Mexico, 5 days in Mexico on the Carnival Breeze. And so, yeah, we are cruising. We're doing it again. We have some dynamic couples, and we have great conversations on these cruises, you all. We don't just crowd your entire time with us with classes and conversations, what have you, but we do give you free time, but then we come together at dinner time, have a blast, and we do have great conversations even between time whenever everybody is open to it. But we do want you to join us on a Carnival Breeze. Let's do it again. Marriage on Purpose for this cruise, September 26th to October 1st. So please do come be a part of it. You will not regret it. We always have an excellent time. So we will put the information in the comment section where you can register if you would like to come. Now, this is September 26th, so we're getting down to the, it's about, 3 months? September. It's May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, about 4 months away. So we probably have to make sure it's paid in full now. But listen, paying it in full is only $500 or the three. It's like $500 even for like a ocean view. So we'll have all the prices. Everything is on this flyer. But if you can't really see it on here too well, I'm going to put it in the comments, and you can go on our page and even check it there as well. But you all, please come be a part of this. It's an excellent time. You couples that have no other couples that spend time with other couples, and your marriage is built when you have the right type of relationships, okay? And so this is one of the things that we're doing to build our relationship. Also, Johnny and Marilyn Lloyd, I have to get that flyer, and I will post that as well. We're doing a marriage conference on Sweetest Day, and that's in October, and we'll have that flyer for you later on next week, and we're going to share that. But on Sweetest Day, there's a one-day conference there, and that's another dynamic couple that you do want to connect with, because they have some excellent information concerning marriage, concerning what did I just do? I don't know what I'm doing here. Concerning marriage and concerning
At the end.
The end. Okay.
You
take that one off.
Yeah, there you go.
So Johnny and Marilyn Lloyd, they are having a one-day marriage conference in October. And so you all stay connected. Make sure you want to build your marriage. You do want to connect with some other couples, because these other couples, they have been the way you're going. And we just look up to these type of couples, because we know that the more we're around them, the stronger we become, our marriage become. Right?
And that is so true. So you want to be around strong marriages and strong people. And know that everyone goes through.
Yep.
So don't feel like, well, I can't do this because I'm going through. We all go through.
Yes.
But it's much easier to go through when you have someone with you
Yeah.
is walking in agreement with you,
Mhm.
that's strong with you. You can get through that situation,
Yeah.
and you can grow together where you can blossom. So we're here to try to connect, and Bridging Hearts is our marriage ministry. So we're here to bridge the hearts together,
Mhm.
so they become one,
Yes.
and you grow stronger in that.
So yeah, that's it, you all. Thank you all again so much. We do appreciate you. Again, like, share, connect, and we will talk with you again on next week, right?
Next Monday.
Next Monday morning, 7 a.m. Again, happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms. I miss my mom so much. I didn't really go on social media yesterday because it's like I'm getting through it, right? So I'm even praying for those that have lost their mom, and we're praying with you because I know how it feels. We both know how it feels. So, but if you have a mom, let me encourage you this. If you have your mother still here with you, love on them every single day. Every chance you get, love on your mom, love on your dad, because that's something that you can never get again once they're gone. Okay? Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Take care.
Enjoy.
Sought for his purpose, sealed with his love. Every tear, every laugh, every baby, I'm sorry. It's all part of the story. To him be the glory.